Hey everybody, Tim and Jordan here for a review. It's been like 10 months. So, brand new series of Star Trek. Super excited. This will make my 708th Star Trek video. A little obsessed. A little bit.
Good for you.
So I have roped Jordan into this with lots of begging and lots of liquor and lots of pot. And basically, I'm going to cover like the Trekkie side of it, and he'll cover like the more like the newcomer view of it, I guess. Would you say?
Yeah, though.
So basically, just to get all the like technical stuff out of the way, this is Star Trek Lower Decks, the animated series, the first animated series since the 70s, which is amazing. I actually like that series too, so I like this one. This is season 1, episode 1, Second Contact. So it's all about the adventures of the USS Cerritos.
I think that's I
Cerritos.
have a really hard time pronouncing names. So.
Yeah, me too. So so I like that. I'm gonna go down the characters real quick because I actually had to keep a list because there's so many, and then he and I will kind of talk about the actual plot. We have Ensign Mariner, who is a great character.
She is probably my favorite best friend already, and she's an animated character.
Already, right off the top. Ensign Boimer, who I think is the main character, kind of. Ensign Tendi, who is in Orion, most notably, like, for those of you who know Star Trek, are like the Orion slave girls and stuff. She's the newcomer. She's the one that we're supposed to identify with. Like, looking at a new ship, looking at a new crew. Like, it doesn't matter what Star Trek you watch. Doesn't matter what show you watch. There's always, like, a newcomer.
Right.
She's the newcomer. Ensign Redford, whatever, half cyborg. He's kind of like the Geordie of the character. Captain Freeman, who is obviously the captain by her title. Commander Ransom, who is kind of the Riker character by the distinguished beard. Lieutenant Shax, who is a Bajoran. You can tell by the earring, the nose ridges. I love that. And then finally, last but not least, Dr. Ta'ana, who's a Catwoman. The reason that I want to bring her up specifically is also, if you go back to the animated series from the 70s, there was a character, Maris, I think. She was a Catwoman as well. She was voiced by Nichelle Nichols. I have the little Christmas ornament of her. I meant to bring it for like a visual aid, but I forgot it. But she's kind of a reference to that. So, especially if you watch the original animated series, Maris, whatever, is supposed to be very seductive. Like, she purrs. She's like, "Hello, Captain." I can't even do it. Like, she rolls her R's where there's no R's. So, and this cat person is supposed to be reminiscent of her, but more stressed out. So over the top, right off the bat, what'd you think? For somebody who doesn't know anything about Star Trek, somebody who doesn't like Star Trek, you do like Gravity Falls.
Yes.
Who I believe the creator of this was one of the animators for Gravity Falls, which we've cosplayed as Gravity Falls. I believe he's also one of the main writers for Rick and Morty.
So that's probably why I liked it so much.
Okay. So things that stood out to you, things you liked, things you didn't like. Were you lost because it was Star Trek? You had no idea what the fuck was going on?
You know, honestly, I'm married to you. So for the most part, all the stuff that they talked about Star Trek, I was able to relate to just because little things here and there over the course of 10 years, I pick up on little things. So there were a few, like, just, they make reference to actual Star Trek episodes and characters, and those were the problem that I was having with, where I was like, I don't know what the fuck they're talking about. But, I'm sure if I had questions, I could just ask you.
That's what I'm your mentor!
Yeah, you're my mentor.
So I want to try to keep this spoiler free, but I'll tell you right now, that's going to fail. Because from the beginning to the end, there are nothing but references, which is what I loved, because I caught all of those, and then I had him watching it with me, who was just for the humor, just for the storyline. Like, the whole opening speech I loved, where he's like, there are crews out there that do first contact and exciting missions.
And then there's us.
And then there's us that does second contact, to spell the name right.
We make sure that there's good places to eat.
So that whole opening scene, because that's where you see a lot of that and you hear a lot of that in the first trailer, where we see Mariner and Boimer going back and forth. And the whole, like, I'll tell you, Because I didn't, for the record, I have not told him any references. Like, he just watched it. So all of this is brand new information for you, for him, for everybody. That whole thing that I caught right away, where Mariner's talking to Boimler, and she's like, look, it's Romulan whiskey. I bet you thought it'd be green, but it's not. It's blue. That's a reference to the original series. That's a reference to The Next Generation. Because, like, in the original series, Scotty's getting drunk. And there's a part where he's really drunk because he's trying to outdrink this other guy. And he's like, well, here, let's drink this. And the guy's like, well, what is it? And Scotty's like, it's green. And then there's a whole other scene in The Next Generation. I think it's the Scotty episode of The Next Generation where Data's like, I have this. And Scotty's like, well, what's that? And Data goes, it's green. So then Boimler's line of like, I bet you thought it'd be green, but it's not. It's blue. It's a pretty shade of blue.
It's pretty shit.
So I love that. It's the bat something. It's a bat.
It's a bat something.
Here, lean back.
It's all rusty.
Lean back for a second. It's a bat lift. Look at that. Didn't even plan that. I've had that up forever. So I love that. It's an old guy with an eye patch. That could be a reference to any fucking Klingon ever. I mean, it could be Kor. It could be the guy from the movie. It could be anything. I love that. The opening theme song is a great reference to The Next Generation. Just doing everything they don't do. Where they come up on the Borg, and there's like the battle of the Romulans and the Borg.
No.
Yep. Not gonna. They hit an iceberg at one point, and it's like, okay, whatever. So this is where we also meet Ensign Tendi, who, like I said, is the Orion. Like I said, nothing but like shout outs and references. If you look behind her, there's a Benzite standing behind her, who's the blue alien. Again, reference to The Next Generation. There's nothing but aliens in the background. We were like, oh, there's a Vulcan. Oh, there's a Benzite. Stuff like that. I really kind of related to Mariner in that scene where she's talking about, like, I'm over rank.
Yeah.
And Boimler's like, no, there's this and there's that. And she's like, been there.
Done that, got demoted, over it.
As somebody who has recently, like, become a manager of a position and was like, fuck this. This is, like, y'all are just uptight with sticks up your asses, and all I'm doing is getting in trouble, and I left my job because I was like, nope, I'm good. And then there's Boimler, who's like, no, the bridge is exciting. No, it's not. It's fucking boring. You don't need to go. Just trust me. Like, I related to that on a spiritual level.
Yeah.
I was like, no, management sucks. Don't do it. It's awful. I don't know if it was a shout out to Star Wars or not, but where they're like in the holodeck program, and he's like, oh, sand is awful. I get a rash. Who gets a rash from sand? I feel like that's a reference to Anakin, because in like episode 2, where he's like, sand is awful, it gets everywhere. Did they just throw Star Wars under the bus? Like, it was great.
Well, you know, people do confuse the two a lot, so.
Fucking tell me about it. And then of course, like, it brings me back to the crossover with Avenue Q. What's the holodeck for?
The holodeck is for porn.
The holodeck was made for porn. And see, this is one of those things where you see, like, in The Next Generation, there were episodes with Reginald Barclay, who had holodeck addiction. And it was literally a whole episode about him being addicted to the holodeck. And then you actually got an episode of The Orville, which is a Star Trek spoof, where a character was addicted to porn on a holodeck type thing, because it's Orville, so it's not Star Trek. And then you finally get the Star Trek where she's like, play the all-naked Olympic training.
Oh,
this is a very detailed
program, yeah.
I was like, okay, we're finally, like, this is that perfect bridge of, like, Star Trek and Orville. We're finally getting that thing. Because you know other people have that. So, and then I just imagine them walking the holodeck and the floor sticky.
Ew.
That's all I can imagine. Like I said, we meet Redford, who has recently become a cyborg, but it's like a Vulcan chip in his brain, so it keeps like taking over and giving him like, this is illogical. And meeting a Trill, the girl he's on a date with, you saw like the spots.
Yep.
That's like from Deep Space Nine. It's the Trill, who is like, oh, my dad was a cyborg.
Yeah.
Okay, so you got daddy issues. Got it. I love their date night, though.
Yes.
Like, all the stuff's going around them.
Yeah, chaos is around, and they're just like, what's your favorite music?
I've never played that game. We should play it sometime. Like, it's great. Again, all of Mariner's lines. Have you ever been in a sentient cave? It's dark and it knows things. What does that mean? Like, all I can think of is, like, any, like, Marvel or DC, like, because there's Mogo, the Green Lantern planet, or, like, Marvel has, like, Danny the Street, the sentient queer.
Yeah.
Like, what does a sentient cave do? Like, does it open and close? Like, does it have a mouth? I don't get it. I'm like...
It knows things.
I know, it knows things. I had a Yeti that tried to steal my shoes. Not for any reason. Just to be a dick. What? How many planets have you been on? 5 if you count Vulcan. I don't count Vulcan. It's boring. That's like counting Earth.
I was counting Earth.
So you've been to, like, 3 planets. Bro, you got me. Like,
oh gosh.
like, all of their lines are so well done. Like, it's so good. One of my favorite lines is, like, when after he gets kicked out of the spider that's, like, sucking him.
Oh yeah, you took too long with that thing.
and he's like, my bones, and she's like, don't worry, the doc will wave a light over it, because it's like the cliche doctor thing. I was like,
you're fixed, you're healed.
Yeah, you're done. Like, and then I think of, like, did you watch did I make you watch The Voyage Home, where they go back in time to the 80s in San Francisco?
Yeah.
And he's like, these barbarians, the doctor gave me a pill and I grew a new kidney. Like, it's like the doctor wave a light over you. You're fine. Like, there's so many references and it's so well done. Like I said, so we see the Bajoran. I didn't write down the species, but there's the cat people.
Oh, yeah.
We see a Bolian, who, again, I think was Next Generation. Where it's the bald blue people.
Oh, right.
And then the final scene is nothing but fucking references, where she's like, you're my mentor, which is literally like our relationship.
Yeah.
Where she's like, do you know Spock? He came back from the dead.
Everyone knows who Spock is.
Yeah. Okay. Well,
what about Captain Kirk? Well, duh. Everyone knows who Captain Kirk is.
What about Worf? What about Troy? She was hopping in that little spacesuit. Oh, what about Gary Mitchell?
I'm sure I can look him up. You don't have to.
I'm your mentor. And literally, like, Jordan's like, who the fuck's Gary Mitchell? And I'm like, it's Kirk's friend. He was like the first officer. But don't worry, I'm your mentor. I got you.
Yeah.
It was great. Like, we covered everything. Like, overall, for you not knowing what to expect, like, did it feel like a Star Trek show? Was it still interesting?
I'm gonna say yeah. I mean, it was a Star Trek.
It's
show.
blue. I bet you thought it'd be green, but it's blue.
Yeah. I mean, it's a Star Trek show, so I mean, I can't say it's not Star Trek.
And it's only 20 minutes, so...
And that's a perfect time limit for me. Yeah. I would say overall it's really good. Definitely for someone who isn't into the older generations of Star Trek and only gets the bits and pieces over time, watching this episode, it was definitely really good.
Okay. Is there something you would like to see or you're hoping to see? Like, we do see the spoiler, like I said, none of them spoilers, of the captain is Mariner's mother, which, again, like, we've been married for 10 years at this point, and the whole scene where Captain Freeman's, like, talking to the Admiral, and he's like, I'm sorry, I have Admiral things to do. I'm hanging up. Don't you do it! My finger's on the button!
Right.
Like, that's literally, like, conversations. Like,
I mean, that's she doesn't have time for that. What time is it? Don't look at the time, because if you don't know what the time is, they're just trying to sound important, and she can go look at the holodeck.
Welcome to the holodeck! That's great.
And this is why Mariner and I would be best friends.
Okay, so, for the show, is there something you want to see, like, because they kind of hint to Redford, and they hint to Tendi in a relationship.
Right.
Where he talks about, like, why didn't the turbo lift open? That's a level 2 diagnostic waiting to happen. So stuff like that. Like, are you hoping they get together? Are you hoping that Mariner and Boimler get together?
You know what? I'm gonna say it's the first episode. I'm
keep
just
it low.
I'm gonna keep it low. I'm just gonna let it kind of play out and see a couple more episodes, see how it feels, and then I'll kind of get more of a, like, this is what I want to happen.
Would you, as somebody who's not super into Star Trek, want references or cameos from other people? Because I think they gave the star date. You can actually look up when the star dates are. I didn't look it up. I think this is supposed to be after Nemesis, but before Picard.
Oh, so yeah.
So, like, theoretically, like, Next Generation, Deep Space Nine, Voyager are all over at this point.
Okay.
So any person from those 3 shows could make an appearance in this. Would you want that? Like, would you want Picard or Janeway, or would you want somebody to show up, or would that take you out of the show? To have them, like, I keep forgetting her name, Captain Freeman. Like, Boimer bursts into Captain Freeman's office, and she's sitting there with Picard or Janeway or Siska or somebody, and she's like, like, Picard's like, you've made my Earl Grey tea cold. Get the fuck out. Like, would that ruin it for you to see somebody, or would you, as somebody who's not into Star Trek, just gloss over it?
I don't, because I want to say from the old generations of Star Trek, I know enough of the characters that if I saw them, I'd probably be like, hey, that's so-and-so from this. But
I feel like you get more Voyager than anything.
Because honestly, out of all my characters, out of you watching your Star Trek and doing all your episodes on, it's 7 of 9.
7 of 9, yeah.
Was probably my favorite character ever.
Of course.
Like, yeah. And so, I mean, if she was ever to make an appearance, I would probably say it would be her.
Yeah. That you'd be okay. Oh, same thing. Like, if they did a Borg episode and 7 of 9 guest starred, would that take you out, or would that make you more interested in it?
I think she was my favorite character from the previous, so I'd be like, hey, she's back.
Okay. Well, for like that's what I'm saying. So for some people, even if you like those characters, because it's a different show, it changes your perspective, because you're so invested in these characters, and then when you see somebody new, you're like, ooh, and it just like takes you completely away.
That's all. Like I said, if she makes an appearance, I would figure out, because like I said, she's my favorite character in the old stuff. If she were to make a new appearance, and if she...
I can't even imagine. Like, I feel like it'd be something about her jumpsuit. Be like, girl, you are hopping!
Then she'd be like, oh. She's like, I don't comply.
Yeah.
And so, I don't know. I mean, it all just depends. If they were to make she was to make an appearance, hopefully they would be able to hold her character, and she would still intrigue my interest. But other than that, yeah. I mean, right now, like I said, the show's new. I've only watched 1 episode. Let it play a little bit more, and then see what happens.
Okay. Did it remind you, like, did the animation take you out at all? Because, like I said, it's very similar to, like, Gravity Falls, Rick and Morty-ish.
I would say Rick and Morty, yeah, more.
Like, did that bother you, or you, like, nope?
No, not at all. I would say, like, and that's one thing I was kind of concerned about, is just because a lot of the new animation styles that are coming out, I refuse to watch the new Scooby-Doo.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, absolutely. I don't know. Like, I just hate that style.
I think you're thinking of Be Cool Scooby-Doo. Because there's actually a newer one since then. Because the Be Cool almost looks like Scooby-Doo meets Family Guy.
I don't know. Just the drawing style is not
simplistic.
Yeah, it's very not good. So no, for an animation show, I would say it's catchy. It's not harmful to the eyes.
I actually thought like the exterior scenes, like the scenes of the ship and the space station, they're gorgeous.
Yeah,
like they actually looked really good. I mean, once you see the people, and the people have like the bigger eyes and the body shapes and stuff, like you're like, okay, this is a cartoon. But like the world and stuff, like the trees and stuff like that, are really well done.
Oh, definitely.
But they still capture like the characters though, because like I said, the Lieutenant Shax, who's the Bajoran, like you can clearly see his earring, because Bajorans have earrings, and you can see the nose ridges. So stuff like that are still noticeable. But so overall, you like it. Excited for another episode, because we did watch after this. There was the trailer for the season, because the season's 10 episodes,
right?
So you kind of got a glimpse of the next 9. Excited for any specific scenes from that jumped out at you? That, like, who knows what episode it's part of, but...
The thing about being a stoner, you get to watch things multiple times and experience them for the same time.
Right.
I forgot.
That's great, that's fine.
Yeah, so I can experience all over again.
The only thing that really jumped out was, like, probably because it's my birth year, but where he's like, execute maneuver 88! And then Dr. Ta'ana's like, is he fucking serious? And I was like, oh, wow, okay. I did catch a glimpse. I could be wrong, but like I said, in the animated series, there were 2 characters that I didn't write down their names because I'm a terrible host. And one was the cat lady, and then one was like the 3-legged guy. And I swear he was like, or at least his species was in one of those quick glimpses. So I think we'll see his race again. Nope. That originated from the original animated series from the 70s. Yeah, honestly, because it's one of those season trailers, it just goes. Like
Yeah,
it's,
it went
it's
really
hard.
quick,
like
yeah.
it's literally just nothing but one-liners, and you're like, wait.
It's like every 5 seconds is a new episode. It's like,
But then
okay.
when we watch the episodes, that's when you're oh, I do remember this line
Right.
type situation. But okay, closing thoughts.
No clothing thoughts.
you and Mariner are best friends now.
Mariner and I are best friends.
Okay. Oh god, I still like her cutting him with the bat lift.
Oh, that was a little gross, yeah.
Yep. Okay, so for those who have seen it, it's a big deal right now. It's all over the place. Let me know what you think. Normally, I don't like doing animated series because they're so short, but this one is so important. It's great, and it's Star Trek, so I'm super excited. So let me know what you guys think, and we will see you guys... What's today? Thursday. We will see you guys next Thursday for episode 2, Invoice.